Hi, if you're watching this, it means you were unable to attend the family orientation. So I'm going to kind of go over all the important stuff with you. I've got my papers here to hit the highlights. Let's go ahead and start. First of all, my title is Area Representative. My name is Linda Murrow. Some people will refer to me as the Student Supervisor. I communicate with the families, the students, and the schools. If for some reason you can't get a hold of me, you can always go directly to my boss, the regional manager, Jody Sharshall. The next person on the page is Jason, who is the facilitator in New York. He takes care of student issues whenever there's like a discipline problem or somebody's very sick or hurt. If there's a reason for them to go home. He's the one that communicates with the international agent and takes care of those situations. Okay, let's talk about the things that you need to address with your student before they come to America. The first thing is their credit card. Tell them that they need to let their bank know that they will be in America and using their card here. You also want to discourage them from bringing large sums of cash. We don't want them bringing thousands of dollars of cash with them on a plane all the way here. So just discourage them, tell them a little bit of cash is fine, but it's best to use a card. They can always go to an ATM and take money out when they get here. Cell phones. Most students will bring a phone with them. They need to make sure that their phone is unlocked. And I'm not referring to putting in a passcode or using a facial ID. I'm talking about making sure that they do not have it locked through the company that they bought the phone through, because they need it to be unlocked in order to be able to put a new SIM card in it with an American phone number. So just tell them to talk to the provider and make sure that their phone is unlocked. Most students will buy a SIM card in America, and sometimes they do it through a service like AT&T or T-Mobile. Most of them just go to Walmart and get a straight talk card. As soon as you put that in the phone, it's going to automatically give you an American phone number, and then you just have to reload it every month. Let them know that it's going to be somewhere around $45, $50 a month for their American phone number with unlimited data. It's not common, but there have been families who have figured out a way to go ahead and register an American phone number prior to their child's arrival in America. If your family is planning on taking a vacation with your student, as soon as you know about it, inform the family. You just want to be upfront with them, upfront about the costs, go over all those details with them as soon as you know what they are, and make sure that you get that all worked out. Your student should already have your phone number in their phone before they come, but tell them that they need to write it down on a piece of paper and put it in their pocket while they travel. That way, if their phone dies, is stolen, or lost, they will still have a way to get a hold of you. If you know your student is planning to participate in fall sports, go to your school's website to the athletic page and find the physical form and have that sent to your student. They can do the physical in their home country, and they just have to make sure that their doctor fills out all the information and it's in English. If it is not in English, the school will not accept it. If they cannot get the physical in their home country, then you'll just have to schedule one when they get here. Okay, those are all things that you will talk to your student about before they arrive. Next, we're going to go over the things that you can do to prepare for your student's arrival. You want your student to feel welcome. And one of the best ways that you can do that is to have their bedroom personalized. That can be done through pictures in frames or on the wall. Maybe find out what their favorite color is and get a blanket in that color. I like to put their name above their bedroom door, or maybe just a letter for the first letter of their name and hang it on the wall. Just something so that when they walk into their bedroom for the first time, it feels like it belongs to them. It makes them feel special, and it kind of takes away that feeling of them being a guest in your home and using your guest room. I have always contacted the natural parents ahead of time and asked them for pictures of the student with family and friends, and I told them to keep it a secret. So they just emailed me some pictures. I had them printed at Walmart, and then that way when they arrived, they were very surprised to see the pictures of them with their family and friends in their bedroom. Another thing you're going to want to do before they arrive is contact the school. So what I have done is got them accepted. I have a piece of paper called a school acceptance form that the school has signed saying that they will accept the student, but they have not been enrolled yet. As soon as you know your student's arrival date, call the school, tell them who you are and that you have a student coming who has already been accepted, and then tell them the date that your student is arriving and ask them when you can set up a meeting with the counselor for your student to pick classes. If your student will be taking a bus to school, you need to make sure that you contact the transportation department at your school and let them know that you have a student who will be riding the bus. You should start thinking about your house rules now. Some of them are going to be easy to come up with. For example, your curfew, or having respect for adults, no boys in a girl's bedroom, things like that. But you also need to be thinking about everyday things. For example, let them know that the door needs to be locked when you come into the house, or the light needs to be turned on at night when you go to bed. Little things like that. To us, it seems like it should be common sense, but to them it may not be. So you need to think of all those little details. It could be something like flushing toilet paper. You might want to go over, don't overfill the toilet with toilet paper. You don't know the rules in their country. You don't know what their culture is like. And so you are just telling them how things are done in America. Make sure that they understand it's not personal, it's just you helping them be prepared so that they can do things the way that we do while we are here in America. If you have a female student coming, don't be embarrassed to talk to her about how to take care of female items. Host moms, you might want to sit down and tell them things get wrapped up and thrown away here. Don't flush them down the toilet. Don't leave them in the open where people can see them. Because again, we don't know what their culture is like. We don't know what they're used to. We don't want them to be embarrassed. So we're helping to prepare them so that they can fit in here without any embarrassment. So a really good idea is to make some kind of a little booklet so that when they arrive in America, the rules are written down. The other things you can put in that booklet are things like your name, phone number, address. If you have a neighborhood name, put that on there. Your next door neighbor's name and phone number. Even 911, they don't have that in their country. So it's just something that they will be able to refer to. They can just keep on their desktop, and you've got the rules right there written out and information that you think they might need. When you're coming up with your house rules, something that you will want to mention to them is that if, for example, you have a code to get into your house through the garage, make sure that they know the code, but that they are told not to give it to anybody else, because they may ask if a friend come over and you say yes, and if they don't know that they're not supposed to give that code out, they might just say to their friend, hey, I'm taking a nap, here's the code to get into my house, and their friend has the code to your house. So make sure that they understand that. Same with a key. If they have a key to your house, that they don't lend it to anybody. I can't stress enough how important it is that you give your student a chore. This is because it helps them to feel like part of the family. So if they're here and you're serving them and they're not helping in any way, then they're going to feel like a guest, and you're going to feel used, and it will eventually bother you. Oftentimes when the kids first arrive, they're very willing to help and they will offer to help. And it's our tendency to be polite and say, oh, no, thank you. But the problem is, the more we say no, thank you, then as time goes on, they're not going to offer anymore. They will get more and more comfortable in your home, and they'll be like your own child who doesn't do their chores. So give them a chore right up front. Be thinking about that now. Most families say part of their responsibility, part of their chores is taking care of their own bedroom and their own bathroom. But I suggest that you be more specific. For example, you might say you need to scrub your toilet every Saturday, or twice a week. Your shower, if you have a daily shower cleaner that you want them to spray it with, you need to go in there, show them how to do it, tell them exactly what you want them to do. It could be something like, if you notice the trash is full, here's where the new trash bags are, and here's where you take the old trash. Just make sure that they know right up front that they are part of the family and that they're expected to take part in doing chores. Something that is optional but highly recommended is a welcome basket or a bag, just some kind of a gift to give them. And the main reason why is because I have yet to meet an exchange student who did not bring gifts from home. And Not that we have to give them something, but it's just nice. You know, they may come with some really nice gifts for you. They may come with some small things, but it's nice for you to have something to give them also and make them feel welcome. Some of the items that we put in our welcome basket include a Missouri t-shirt, a USA t-shirt, maybe a t-shirt of the high school that they will be attending. It's always nice for them to have that, especially when they have a spirit day at school and they already have their shirt. You might put in just things to get them started, like toiletries. Oftentimes they won't bring the shampoos and conditioners and things just because they don't have a lot of space in their suitcase and they can't put it in their carry-ons because the airlines don't allow it. So it's nice to have something small just to get them started. So maybe just a little package of, you know, toothbrush, toothpaste, little shampoo and conditioner, soap, things like that. I like to throw in one of those little plastic Missouri license plates that you get at Walmart in the toy section. They come with stickers and you can put the student's name on it, and then they've got a little Missouri license plate. Last year we gave our girls a little yellow school bus. It was really cute, just a little die-cast school bus, because students in other countries, they see the yellow school bus as something so American because they don't have those there. And so it's just a fun little cute gift, and they think it's pretty cool. You might find that when they see a school bus for the first time, they'll say, "Oh, look, there's a bus," and they'll want to take their picture with it. Of course, if they're riding the bus to school, it doesn't take them long to quit liking the bus. You should make some kind of a sign to greet them at the airport. It makes that student feel so special when they're walking down that hallway and they're seeing you for the first time, standing there with a big smile, and you've got the sign in front of you that says, "Welcome to America," with their name on it. I will be at the airport also. I will take videos, pictures of you meeting for the first time. It's just something to make them feel special when they arrive, and it's great for pictures, for memories. Okay, now let's talk about when the student arrives. So I already mentioned that you're going to meet them at the airport. When you leave there, you're going to take them home, and they're going to be like your child. Now, they have had an orientation back in their home country, but there's certain things that I really want to go over and stress with them here in America, so I will do that at orientation. Okay, at some point you're going to want to go by an ATM and have them just take like $20 out or something. That's because you want to make sure that their card is working. And if it's not, get it worked out with their parents as soon as possible. That way there won't be any problems the rest of the time that they're in America. Keep in mind jet lag, because when they first arrive, you're going to be excited to see them. You may want to go straight out to eat. They're coming from another country where they could be anywhere from 7 to 12 hours ahead of us. And so they're not only nervous before they come and probably didn't sleep the night before, probably did not get good rest on the plane, their internal clock is all messed up. You don't want to just say, "Okay, you're here, here's your room," and then leave them alone, because if you do that, then they might go into panic mode and kind of start feeling that homesickness and, "Oh no, what have I done?" So you want to occupy their mind. Maybe that's a great time to give them their welcome basket. You know, say, "Hey, are you hungry?" Give them a snack before they go to bed. Show them just a few things like, "This is your bathroom. This is how you turn on the shower." Go over some of those little details. Show them where the cereal is. Tell them they can get up and make their own cereal in the morning, bowls, things like that. So just kind of occupy their minds, show them around, but also at the same time, don't take them straight to Silver Dollar City the first day that they arrive, because they're going to be tired. So just some things to keep in mind. As soon as they get their American phone number, you need to give their number to me and make sure that they have my number. Do not add them to your account. We don't want you getting stuck with a bill. We don't want them using your data. This is something that they are supposed to be responsible for and pay for on their own. You want to give them your Wi-Fi password. I think I have sent emails to all of the students. I told them about our Facebook page. Several of the students are on that page already. There are some who have not joined yet. So if your student doesn't have Facebook yet or is not on that group page, help them make a page. And if for some reason they're opposed to it, just explain to them that They can delete it when they go home if they want to, or they can keep it, whatever they want. That is where I'm going to be communicating with them. It's just really important that they be on that page. Okay, once your student's here, you should have already set up your meeting with the counselor. You will want to explain to your student about class choices, because that is a very unusual thing to them. In America, the kids get to pick their classes. In other countries, they don't. Tell them that the counselor will go over those choices. She will explain the classes to them, but just let them know in advance that when they go in there, there's going to be options. Now, if you have a student who convalidates, which is going to be Spanish students for sure, most Italians and Mexicans can validate. I'm not sure about some of the other countries. I think Brazil does also. But convalidation basically means that their grades here in America do count towards their schooling back in their home country. The counselors around here all know what convalidation is. They should be able to help them. They have a copy of their transcript, which I have already sent to the school. They can look at that and also talk to the kids in the counselor's meeting, come up with a good plan of classes. Now, they're going to want to take the 4 core classes, which is a math class, an English class, a science class, and a government or history class. The things to keep in mind when they're choosing those classes, first of all, English. I highly recommend that they not take literature. Now, some kids love to read and they do fine with it, but a lot of them, they get into these literature classes and they end up having to read things that are like Tom Sawyer, Old English, or Shakespeare, the Scarlet Letter, things that even American students struggle with reading. And English is the second language for these students, and so if they have to read a book like that, it's very, very difficult. Have them take something that's a writing class or composition. If they want to take the literature and they love to read, that's fine, they can. It's just don't let that be their first choice. As far as government and history goes, we really want them to take something that is related to America. So have them look at classes like American government, American history, something like that. I had a student one year who took a local history class and she learned all about the Ozarks. So that was also, that was actually quite interesting. She taught me a lot about where I live. Okay, I touched on vacation a little bit, but I wanted to let you know that there are 5 different ways that students can travel when they're in America. They can travel with your family, they can travel with another ISE approved family, they can travel with my family, they can travel with the church, they can travel with the school. There will be trips that ISE offers, the emails will go out, and whenever those emails come out, I will pass that information on to you, and if the students want to pay the money for the trips, they can go on those trips. I'm going to back up and talk about each one of those. So with your family, they can travel in or out of the country. But if they're going out of the country, for example, on a Mexican cruise, they have to have their DS 2019 sent to ISE and get signed. Otherwise, they won't be let back into the country. So make sure that you let me know way in advance if you're planning a trip out of country. They cannot go to their home country, though. So if they live in Mexico, they cannot travel to Mexico. 2 years ago, I had a girl named Daniela from Spain who was going to Florida with her family. And then I had another Spanish student named Clara who lived with a family on a farm, and they could not get away because they had to take care of the animals. So Daniela's family invited Claire to go with them. And that's perfectly fine because Daniela's family was an approved ISE family. So Clara paid for her own ticket and she went with the family and had a wonderful time. We took our students to Florida. There were a couple of families that were unable to travel, and so we just invited their students with us. So they came with us and we went to Florida and just kind of had a good old time with a group of 3 exchange students plus 2 of my own kids and me and my husband. So it was a good time. Sometimes school trips are not that far away, not overnight. Sometimes they are far away. For example, Fordland High School took the kids to the Crystal Bridges Museum. It was just a day trip, but it's totally fine for students to take trips with a school like that. There was a group of boys that went with their baseball team to Kansas City to watch a Kansas City Royals baseball game. So that was another day trip for them. My sister is a history teacher, and every other year she takes the juniors and the seniors to Washington, D.C. You would just sign the paper just like you would for your own child for them to take a trip, and they would go. As far as church groups go, there could be a youth group retreat, and if the kids want to go on that, you're going to sign the papers just like you would with your own child, and they can go on the trip with the church. they cannot travel with an unapproved person or family. So for example, if their best friend at school has invited them to go to St. Louis for the weekend, well, their best friend and her family are not an ISC approved family, so she cannot go with them for the weekend. Okay, now I'm going to talk about money. You are responsible for providing meals for them, but you are only expected to provide whatever you are offering your own family. So, for example, if you make spaghetti, then you're going to put out an extra plate at your table and your student is going to eat spaghetti with the family. That is free to them. But if they don't want spaghetti, then they're going to have to spend their own money to buy something else to eat. Your home is their home. So if you have lunch meat in your refrigerator and they want to make a sandwich to bring to school, that's fine. But if they don't like the lunch meat that you have in your refrigerator, they're going to have to spend their own money to buy what they want for lunch, something that a lot of students do and buy their lunch at school each day. If you go out to eat as a family, you're going to feed them just like you would at home, because whatever you're providing for your own family is what you will provide for them. If, for example, you go to Taco Bell, you're going to buy their food at Taco Bell. If you go to an expensive sit-down restaurant, it's okay to give them a limit. If they want that $35 Kansas City strip steak or whatever it is, they can pay the difference or else they don't get it. Something very important for you to keep in mind is that you are not foster parents. This is not a situation where these kids are coming into your home with nobody that they can count on besides you. They have parents of their own, and those parents have signed a contract and agreed to give them a minimum of $300 a month spending money. Students are responsible to buy their own personal toiletries, their own entertainment, their own school supplies, clothing, souvenirs. They're also responsible for buying their own extra food. Another thing is you need to not be afraid to tell them how much they can have. For example, if you buy a box of granola bars and they love granola bars, you might find that they ate 4 or 5 of them in one day. You need to put a limit on it. You need to say to them, here is our pantry. These snacks are available to you. Please be respectful and don't eat more than 1 or 2 a day. When you go on vacation and you're trying to determine what the student should pay for and what you are going to pay for, you need to ask yourself, if the student was not here, what would I be paying for? If your student fits in the car with your family, don't charge them any money for gas. However, if you need to rent a larger vehicle because everybody will not fit, then you can go ahead and charge them something for the vehicle. Same thing with a hotel. If you take your student and you stay in a hotel and you do not need extra space for them, don't charge them for the room. If you're flying somewhere, your student is going to pay for their own plane ticket. You are going to continue to feed them just like you would at home, but they are going to pay for everything else. When we took our students to Florida and did Disney and Universal, they paid for the park admission. Those are the types of things that you will need to tell their parents about beforehand so that they can pay for those things. All right, the next thing is electronic devices. And it can be very disrespectful when someone's trying to talk to them and they're on their phone. You know, at the dinner table, they're on their phone. At church, they're on their phone. But then sometimes the families are the same way too. And so it's really hard to get on to the kids and tell them to stay off their phones and pay attention and be respectful if they are talking to you, the host parent, and you're doing the exact same thing. So just be really aware of that and come up with a rule in advance for what you expect with cell phones, and hopefully that will eliminate any problems. Rules. So whatever your rules are their rules, but absolutely no pornography whatsoever. They will get in big trouble if they get caught with something like that, because their friends back home are all awake while they're asleep and vice versa. So you'll find that they're on their phones in the middle of the night a lot, communicating with home, and so it can cause a problem. It can cause them to be tired at school, and you may be one of those people who says, hey, if you're tired, that's your problem, not mine. That's up to you. It's your home, it's your rules, but it's just something to be aware of. And if you want to set a rule, from the beginning, that every night at whatever time, 10:30, your phone needs to be plugged into the kitchen. That's fine. The kids may argue that they need it for the alarm clock. You can always tell them they need to buy an alarm clock. If they're ever late for school because they're tired because they're up on their phone in the middle of the night, then you can deal with that when that comes up. Hopefully it won't be an issue. Like I said, I never had a problem with it in my home, but I have seen some host families have problems with that. All their electronics need to be set to English, so you need to tell them that right away, and I will also tell them at orientation. So if you happen to walk by and look down and see their laptop or their tablet or their phone and it's in another language, you need to tell them, you're supposed to have that in English. So we want them completely immersed in the language. That is the way that they're going to become fluent, and it's the rules, and they need to follow the rules. ISE recommends that the students only talk to their natural parents once a week. I tell my students, once a week, plan on a FaceTime visit with your family. That way they know exactly when it's going to be. They have it scheduled. If grandma and grandpa wants to be there, your sister wants to be there, your mom, your dad, whoever, they know exactly when it's going to happen. You can see them face to face. You can catch them up on everything that you do during the week. But then I tell them that doesn't mean that they can't call them to ask a question when they need to. So for example, if they want to buy a season pass to Silver Dollar City so that they can go with my family, well, I say, sure, call your dad and ask. So they call their dad, they ask. It's a short phone call, but it just gives them the peace of mind of knowing that they can pick up the phone and talk to him if they need to. What we want to prevent is them getting on the phone every day and talking for a long time to mom and dad. It causes homesickness. And the other thing is, when they're talking to their parents, guess what language they're speaking? Not English. So we want to get them out of their country and into ours. So they need to be immersed in the American culture, the English language. Their mind needs to be here with their American friends, their American family. The more they're talking to home, the less they are going to be integrated, the slower their English is going to improve. So there's just lots of reasons for it. Let's talk about riding in cars with friends. It's totally fine as long as that friend has a driver's license and you have approved it. So whatever your house rules are is what they have to follow. If you say, I want to meet your friend before you can get in a car with them, then they have to introduce their friend to you. If you know the neighbor down the street and they want to ride to school every morning with the neighbor down the street, as long as you're okay with it, that's totally fine. So they can ride in a car with a friend to go bowling, to the theater, things like that, to the football game. It kind of frees you up a little bit so that you don't have to drive them everywhere that they need to go. What they're not allowed to do is travel with them. No, they cannot go with them to Kansas City. That is considered a road trip. Just local things is all that they can do with their friends. Students will arrive with their own medical insurance. You can either check with your own doctor to see if they accept this kind of insurance, or you can just use urgent care. That is what I recommend. It's the easiest. You don't have to worry about any pre-authorization or having to set up a new patient appointment. The last thing that you want to do is go to an emergency room. It's very expensive. Their insurance does not cover pre-existing conditions. For example, if they have asthma, they need to come with enough medication to get through the full 10 months in America. Otherwise, they will have to pay out of pocket. It does not cover immunizations. So if they get here and the school says they are missing something, like for example, a chickenpox shot, they will have to pay for that out of pocket. It does not cover health checkups. So things like a sports physical, they will have to pay for that out of pocket. It does not cover preventative care. So if they wanted to get a flu shot to prevent catching the flu, they would have to pay for that out of pocket. Medications are covered, but they have to get reimbursed for them. If they go to the pharmacy to pick up medication, they're going to have to pay the full amount, save the receipt, and submit it to the insurance company for reimbursement. Now we're going to talk about the no-nos, things that can get them in trouble. The big no-no is no alcohol. I know that in Germany, the legal age for drinking beer is 16 and hard liquor is 18. When these kids come to America, obviously we don't want them to get drunk. We don't want them partying. We want them focusing on their education. But more than that, we don't want them breaking the law. They are not American citizens, and if they break the law in America, they're going to get sent home. if they get invited somewhere and they have no idea that there's going to be alcohol there, and they find out, hey, this girl's birthday party and the kids are all drinking, they need to get on the phone, immediately call you and say, I need you to come pick me up. The nice thing is it kind of takes away the peer pressure when they can explain to their friends. Instead of saying, no, thank you, I don't want that, they can say, dude, I'm going to get kicked out of the country if I'm anywhere near that. Okay, the next one is kind of a tough one. The rule says no intimate relationships. Well, if you look up the word intimacy, it can mean a lot of different things. Obviously, there's no sex. You need to come up with a rule from day one about dating. ISC does not say no dating. They say if it interferes in any way with their program, no dating. So that's kind of hard, because if you wait until they're dating someone and then you find out that it's causing a problem and you tell them they have to break up, it's a whole lot harder than if they just don't date at all. So I highly discourage dating. I tell the kids maybe they can go, to prom or homecoming with a date. There's just no reason why they need to be spending every day. There's just no reason why they need to be spending every day with a boy or a girl that they like. They're going to be heartbroken when it's time to go home. They're already going to be sad to leave their friends, and it's even harder if they're leaving a boyfriend or a girlfriend. If a girl likes a boy and she's going to his house, make sure that the parents are going to be there. Tell the parents what your rules are and that you don't allow her to be alone with him in a room, so that they will abide by those same rules. Hopefully the kids will obey the rules, but we have to do our part also to kind of help them, because they are kids. Sometimes they think they know more than us, but they don't. Failing grades is another thing that could get them into trouble. The students have to maintain a C average or higher in their core classes. So ignore those art classes, PE, band, all of those things. Yes, they're important and that grade is important, but don't average those into their core classes when you're trying to figure out if they have good enough grades to stay in the program. Students are not allowed to change their body permanently. So for example, they cannot get tattoos while they're in America. They cannot get new piercings, not even an ear pierced. They're not allowed to drive motorized vehicles. So that would include not just cars, boats, four-wheelers, things like that. The reason for that is because their insurance doesn't cover it. If, however, they are in a situation like driver's ed at school and they have a teacher in the car with them, and if there's an accident, the school's insurance would cover it, well, then it would be okay for them to drive in that situation. If they're like at Branson on a go-kart track, that's totally fine too, because the go-kart track has insurance that if there's an accident, they're going to cover it. So you just don't want them getting in your car and driving down the street. Students are not supposed to shoot firearms. They are not covered by insurance if there were an accident. So it would have to be like on a school team where the school would cover if there was an accident. Other things that can get them in trouble is being disrespectful, breaking the host family or school rules, ISE rules, going places without permission. If you want them to ask before they make plans, they need to ask before they make plans. Having a bad attitude, staying in their room all the time. Everybody needs a break sometimes. Sometimes you're going to want a break, you're going to want to go in your room and just be alone, and that's totally fine. But what we want to avoid is them coming home from school, going in the room, closing the door, staying in there all night, coming out, eating supper, going back in the room and staying in there. So they need to be involved with the family. They need to be interacting with you. When they're in their room, you just don't know what they're doing. They may be doing homework, and that's totally fine if they need to go in there and do homework. We just don't want them going in there and, getting on their computer or their phone and typing to their friends back home and just ignoring you and spending all their time away from you or alone or with their friends or family back in their home country. No Ubers. They are not allowed to ride in an Uber, even if they're 18 years old. These kids are used to public transportation, and they are going to be completely dependent on you to be able to go to activities and go see their friends and just do fun stuff. It's a big, big change for them, and it's a big responsibility for you. So, just keep that in mind when you feel like you just want to stay home. You're their only way to go anywhere. But at the same time, don't let them guilt you into it. They need to understand from the beginning that they're not going to be able to go anywhere they want, anytime they want, but that you will do the best that you can to give them some good times and to give them some good opportunities. So as the supervisor, I will be communicating with your student monthly. ISC requires that I see them at least every other month. However, I like to see them every month, so I do have activities that I set up. Not only is it good for them to get to know each other, it's good for the host parents to have each other as support and to make some new friends. The kids typically will become very good friends with each other simply because even though they're from different countries, they're all going through the same thing. So they understand each other and they find comfort in that. I do my best to put the calendars on the Facebook group page and make sure that you have an idea in advance of what our activities are going to be so that you can schedule them and try your best to get your student there. So I like to have the families there too. They're a lot of fun. I do my best to come up with some good activities. If any of you ever want to offer your home to host something, like for example, in November, we like to have a get together for Thanksgiving of some sort. If you want to open your home, for everybody to bring a meal from their home country and we can all meet at your house, that'd be great. I'd love for you to offer that. Christmas time, I'm always looking for a family who will volunteer to be the host for our White Elephant gift exchange. We typically have most every student and family arrive, so we'll need a big place, and it's a great time. We have steps in place to handle situations. Hopefully turn things around so you won't have any ongoing problems. Basically, this is the way it works. First, you are going to try to handle the situation yourself, just like you would with your own child. Let's say that you have already talked to them about it. You have tried grounding them, for example, and it hasn't worked. So then you can call me and you can say, Linda, I don't know what's going on here. I told her day after day that she needs to clean off her plate, rinse it, put it in the sink, and she's just not doing it. She's ignoring me and walking away. I don't know what to do. So at that point, I'm going to write up something called a problem ID. And I'm going to sit down, I'm going to talk to your student about it. Now, it may end up being that you're using a word that in their country means something totally different. And it was just a miscommunication. And we get it fixed right away. It's no problem. Or it could be that they're having a bad attitude that needs to be fixed. We're hoping that it'll turn around quickly and that they will see the seriousness of it. If not, the next step is called a problem resolution. That is when I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write out what they are going to do to fix the problem, what you're going to do, what I'm going to do. This is going to be signed and dated by all of us and sent to the international agent and also to their parents. If for some reason that isn't good enough and you're still having issues, the next step would be probation. I do not put the students on probation. The facilitator does. The facilitator is Jason in New York. I mentioned him at the beginning of this video. He's the one that will talk to them about what is going on. Occasionally these steps are taken because there's a problem with the host family and it's not necessarily the student's problem. Well, if there's a problem with the host family, or if there's something that just cannot be worked out, but they're not necessarily doing something wrong, it's some major clash that we just can't get over, then we might have to look for a new home for them. An example of that would be when I hosted Annie from Taiwan. She came to our house after she had been in another home for 2 weeks because she was living in a house with big dogs and she was terrified of animals. Those are situations where no paperwork is going to fix it. She just needed to be in a different home and we made that work. So we do everything we can to prevent moving the kids. We want you to look at them as if you've adopted them. You've made a commitment, you're going to stick with it for the year, and we tell them the same thing. Let me know right away if there's any change in your household. For example, if you're a single parent and you get married, I need to know that there's a new man living in your home. If you have a college student who's not on the application and they move back home, then I need to know so that we can add them to the application. If someone got divorced, we would need to know that someone moved out of the house and the student is now with just one parent. So just any major changes like that, maybe your mother-in-law moves into the house, I need to know so that we can add that person to the application. Okay, let's talk about church. It's a cultural experience. They indicated on their application if they were willing to go or not. So if you have a student in your home who said, yes, I'm willing to go to church, and you want them to go with you, then that's great. They will probably go and there probably won't be a problem. But on occasion, something will happen and the student will get uncomfortable and they'll get scared and they won't want to go. If that happens, you cannot take them kicking and screaming. Okay, you want to do everything you can to make the holiday special for them. Now, that does not mean that you have to throw a big holiday party every month, It just means to make sure that you draw attention to our holidays and our traditions. So for example, come Easter, color some Easter eggs. In October, let them carve a pumpkin. Many of them have never carved a pumpkin in their lives. It can be something small. Just make sure that you draw attention to it, because those are the experiences that are really going to stick in their minds, and they're going to absolutely have wonderful memories of it. And make sure that you take lots of pictures so that they won't ever forget. Okay, just a few extras. You probably remember that when you were filling out your application, I came to your home and did something called an in-home visit. In that visit, I had to see 4 rooms of your house: the bedroom and bathroom that the student would stay in, your kitchen, and your living room. And then I had a few questions. I took a selfie in your kitchen. Well, there is going to be another area rep who does the exact same thing. It's just called a second home visit. All the students are required to do a minimum of 5 hours of community service while they're here, and that is not monthly. That is 5 hours total for the whole 10 months. My girls got 3 hours for doing trunk or treat at our church last October. So there's just a lot of opportunities, but the thing that is very important is that when they do their community service, they contact me, tell me the day they did it, what they did, and how long they did it, because I have to log that information. Please be aware, there is no way that I can know every cultural difference. There's no way anybody in ISE can know every cultural difference. I've hosted 8 girls from 8 different countries, and yes, they've all been very different. I've supervised probably 60 or 70 kids. There's always surprises. Sometimes it's cultural, sometimes it's personality. I will do my best to help you. It's a good idea for you to get online, kind of learn about some of the cultural things about your student. If your students come from Germany, look up Germany, find out some of the cultural differences between there and America. Just kind of prepare yourself the best that you can. The students will come with passports. Those passports need to be put in a safe place, but not by you, by them. American families are not allowed to take passports away from students. That is a Department of State rule. So you need to talk to them about having a safe place where they can keep all their documents, like their DS 2019, their passport, any papers that they have. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Sorry you couldn't make it to our family orientation, but there is a form that you will need to sign just saying that you had an orientation. If you have any questions at all, you can contact me anytime. I'm here for you. I'm here for the student. I want it to be a successful year. It's exciting, and there's going to be good times and there's going to be bad times, just like there are with your own family. Don't give up on these kids. If you're having a rough time with something and you can't work it out yourself, just give me a call. I'll do everything I can to help you, and hopefully it'll be a strong bond that lasts a lifetime.
I know. Oh my goodness. Oh, and you're still so small.